Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am filming a book review and I am reviewing The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. The Starless Sea is being released on the 5th of November and I got my ARC from my friend Justine, who has sent me all my ARCs because no one else sends them to me. Publishers, please! The Starless Sea is a highly anticipated adult fantasy book, which is like her second book after The Night Circus, which was published like 7 years ago. I haven't read The Night Circus, but I really want to after reading The Starless Sea. Let's talk about this book. So The Starless Sea follows Zachary, who finds this very old battered book in the library and decides to read it. And in this book he reads a chapter about a boy, which is himself. This is something he experienced many years ago, and down to the smallest detail that is in the book. And he's like, how is this possible? And he goes out on this investigation / adventure trying to find out how this is possible and why it's in this book, and where it says in the end of this story he reads about himself. And so the son of the fortune teller does not find his way to the Starless Sea, not yet. So if future Zachary is like, what do you mean not yet? And you know, unravels this whole story. So the Starless Sea is a port of fantasy. It reminds me like a mix of Every Heart a Doorway and Strange the Dreamer, and it's the best mix because I love Every Heart a Doorway and I love Strange the Dreamer. It reminds me of Strange the Dreamer in a way that it is like, the writing reminds me a lot of it, where it's very beautiful and the sentences are very beautiful. I don't know how to describe that kind of writing, like not lyrical, I don't have the words because what is words, but it is very beautifully written. The story is like delicious, like Strange the Dreamer, if you ever experienced with that. It reminded me of a lot of it in like the ways of storytelling, but like the plot and everything of course is all the way on its own. I'm just trying to like compare with something else, so if you have experience with those kind of stories and like them, I think you will like this one a lot. Now, as I said, I haven't read The Night Circus. I don't know how much this book compares to her first book. Zachary, the main character, is also gay, which I didn't know, and I think that that was really cool because like the whole his story, he meets like this guy and they're very sweet. So like I like that it's an adult fantasy where not the main character is not straight, which I feel like is very uncommon, at least in my experience. Now, as I said, the story is delicious. It's like imaginative and beautiful, but like it breathes slowly. How do I even speak? It's like a mystery, right? And we follow these different clues, but at the same time we get these short stories that, as I said, one of them he reads about as himself, but also other short stories and other different books throughout the books. And all the stories is not there to just be there, they all hang together and make sense. And like there's stories within the stories where the characters read those stories, and I just think like the whole idea of that, I love it. But also like considering just plotting that and like structuring it into a full book is just like the effort and the imagination it takes. It's great. There were so many parts of this that I like now on top of the world and the plot, like the world was beautiful and delicious. I don't know why I used the word delicious, but there was a lot of food in here, so it kind of made me hungry as well. But just imaginative. Like I said, I just love the stories within the stories. It was great. The execution didn't fall exactly where I wanted it, not like what I wanted didn't happen. Like I liked the ending. It was just when we came to like 80% mark or something, the story just became a bit like very different from how it was in the beginning, and kind of a bit not confusing I would say, but a bit like unraveling. And I feel like it could have been constructed a bit better is the word I would use, but I didn't say that it was bad. I loved the ending. I just felt like it fell a bit apart and became a bit like very different from the beginning, which I guess is normal. I could feel like it could have been executed and it's constructed a bit more so it felt more nicely put together with everything we got before. The characters were all wonderful. As I said, Zachary is such a great character, going on an adventure. He also like studies games, so there's a lot of like I said like talk about storytelling, but also like storytelling in, for example, gaming and stuff, and I really like that as a person who also plays games and read books, and I just really like those parts as well. The other characters he meets, the Keeper, Mirabelle, Dorian, Cat, all of those had just great aspects to the story and brought so much, and I just enjoyed them all a lot. I just love how some events hung together with other events, how we follow these different timelines and stories and how they all were put together in the end. Like I said, I could have enjoyed more if it like was constructed a bit better in the end, because it got a bit confusing with all the different things that going on. But like I came at the point where like I really felt like things clicking into place, but also I've expected this waha feeling in the end that I kind of never got, because so now the reason for everything that is happening and stuff, it's kind of sad but also beautiful. It's a story worth telling. I just love that this is a story telling a story, kind of. I don't know how to I think a nice word to describe the book is wonder, because all the book characters are like in this wondrous state, and like it's written so wondrous, and also just like learning about the world and what has happened there and everything is just, it fills me with wonder, and I was just very impressed and generally just into the story within the story, etc. It's nicely done. This book was not what I thought it would be like at all. Like I knew what it was about a bit, but just like how it was written, it just portrays a totally different story than if it was written in some way else. Just like the writing itself makes the story stand out so much. Just like Strange the Dreamer, kind of like the writing there is just so good, and the same is here. Like the writing is what I loved almost the most about this, but also like, as I said, just discovering this world and just thinking of all the wonders and adventures around us, kinda. I am making so much sense in this video. I feel like the story here is very jumbly, not like in a bad way at all, but like we follow all these different stories. We don't follow all these different stories, but we get these different stories. We follow one story which connects with all the other stories, and I, by the way, loved some of those short stories. They were so good, and I was so curious what would happen. I loved it so much. As I said, the writing here and just the stories. And because we get all these parts and different parts is why I can collect my thoughts together, apparently, for this video, because that is the book, and just all these bits and pieces that collect in one place, but it's also separate, and that is me right now. Okay, trying to sum up a bit here, because I feel like I've been all over the place. The writing, beautiful. The characters, wonderful. The world, wondrous. I feel like it's the kind of book I almost can't talk about, just because I feel like you need to experience it for yourself to know what I mean. But as a person who loves books and storytelling and stories, I almost gave it 4 because, as I said, I was a bit dissatisfied by the ending, because I didn't get that click that I wanted exactly, that I feel like we deserved, but then like I never came to that point. But that doesn't mean that it concluded in a bad way. But like 4 was too little, so I rounded it up to 5, and I love the story. I feel like it's also like the kind of book I really want to listen to audiobook to have it told to me, because it's just written in this very telling way that I really loved. I love this kind of writing. It takes me a bit while to read, but when you get into it, it flies past you. There's just so many things going on here, and different symbols and things just going over and over, and how it all connects. I can't stop speaking about it apparently, and saying the same things over and over. But yeah, I can definitely see some people not enjoying this, but as a person who loves fantasy, porn fantasy stories, I can't help but love it. So yes, definitely recommend. As I said, it's, for me, feels like every heart a doorway with the portal fantasy, and like discovering the different worlds, and just like with all the different stories, but also like Strange the Dreamer, because of the writing and how the story is told and portrayed. It's very like that. I feel like I got a really good vibe from it because of that, and that's a compliment in all the ways, because every heart a doorway, Strange the Dreamer, is two of my favorite books of all time. When I was reading this, I was just filled with wonder and like this nice, you know, that nice feeling you get when you read and you know what you're reading, you really like and enjoy. If it fills you up on the inside with heat and warmth and happiness, that was how I felt reading this. I don't know how more to articulate my feelings more than that. I think like there's like so many good quotes I could take from this book, but I didn't prepare any. So, you know, I even like loved how like we jump a bit in time and things that seems really bad from one point of view we get another perspective of later. So like we get all sides of the story kind of. This is about storytelling and his story tells in such a good way. I just love the whole thought of that. This is storytelling on its better days. I don't have more to say now, I think, because apparently I can't articulate my feelings, but again I feel like that describes this book really well as well. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. If you want a wondrous adventure, then you know where to go. And thank you so much for watching. I already said that, and I will end this video now because I feel like I'm a mess. Bye!